Hello, I am a girl, and I'm remarking on the GamerGate issue, also known as the Zoe Quinn scandal, the Quinspiracy, according to the Internet Aristocrat, whose videos I watch religiously. And I just wanted to make a few remarks on it. This isn't about gender, and this isn't about policing one's sexuality. This isn't about harassing Zoe Quinn. I wouldn't care if she had copulated with Bubsy the Bobcat. I'd be a little interested because Bubsy the Bobcat is a video game character, not a real-life character, but aside from that initial fascination with how she could have done it, I wouldn't have cared. It's not about Zoe Quinn sleeping with 5 guys. It's about Zoe Quinn possibly receiving favors from them. And it's turning out more and more that she is receiving favors due to new information that keeps sprouting up. Now, you can call me an internalized misogynist all you want. It doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it so. What do you call it? Oh, if you called a dog's tail a leg, how many legs does that dog have? 4, because a tail's not a leg. You can call me an internalized misogynist all you want. It doesn't make it so. In fact, one of my heroes happens to be my mother, who happens to be a woman. And I love her and adore her and admire the living heck out of her because she is so dedicated and hardworking. Not only that, but she's trying to improve on herself. She's trying to make herself into a better person all the time. And she's actually right now working on her sense of humor, which I think is fantastic. But I admire women who don't succumb to corruption. I admire men who don't succumb to corruption. This is not about gender. This is not about sexual policing. This is about truth and integrity and gaming journalism. And I use the quotation marks because it's not really journalism, as Zoe Quinn backtracked on. She backpedaled when she called them journalists and then she called them bloggers. Nice, Zoe. Very nice. And so they're not real journalists. I'm going to tell a story now. It's not much of one. I was in a school newspaper at one of my colleges. And I'm not going to say which school newspaper. I'm just going to say that it was during a time when a governor was trying to boost up Wisconsin's... he was trying to remove Wisconsin's debt. And part of this was to try and make teachers accountable for a portion of their health care and their dental care and all their benefits. He was just trying to make them responsible for a portion. And the teachers went absolutely, well, quite a few of the teachers. I can't speak for every teacher in my state, but a lot of the teachers that I saw displayed absolutely egregious behavior. It was terrible behavior that they displayed. They walked out of their classrooms. They took their kids out to march with them, and the kids, they didn't get permission slips from the parents beforehand. They were railing against the governor, against the state in their classes, instead of teaching the subjects that they were hired on to teach. At any rate, I was working with a school newspaper, the college newspaper, and I was an assistant editor. There was an editor, and then there was the journalist teacher. And the journalism teacher, I should say. And so the journalism teacher was asking us for ideas. Every month he would ask us for ideas for the newspaper. And I suggested one that could present both sides of this argument about this making teachers accountable for a portion of their benefits. And I said, why don't we present the pros and the cons? We can present both sides of the issue. We can present some of the benefits to this plan and some of the unintended or intended consequences. And they said, no, that'll be too biased. And then somebody suggested, well, why don't we write an article about how the teachers are affected? And they said, oh, that's a wonderful article. And I said, wouldn't that be biased? And they said, no, it wouldn't be biased at all. And they were doing things like this that would introduce bias into articles, and they wouldn't care. They wouldn't care because they're going to take a position, and they're going to spread that position into a newspaper, and they're going to promote bias. And I fail to see how an article focusing not on just the cons for the teachers, but the pros, the benefits. And I wasn't trying to push a particular agenda here, not like they were. And they were trying to push an agenda. I was trying to institute a very objective view. I was trying to do that with both pros and cons. I wouldn't mind if we talked about the cons as long as we talked about the pros, too. And we could present both the sides of the issue instead of just looking at one side. But no, they just wanted to see how it affected teachers. Oh! And keep in mind, well, I should have said this. I'm actually in training to be a teacher. I'm going to school so I can become a teacher. And I got so sick of that. I just got so sick of journalism after that. Maybe it's wrong of me to paint all journalists with the same brush, but I just got so sick of it, and I just left. I left the newspaper a short while after. It was apparent that they had no interest in providing a balanced view. They had no interest, of course, in showing any kind of objectivity. They wanted to present their view and call it the truth. They didn't care about objectivity. They didn't care about reporting with as little subjectivity as possible. They just cared about presenting an agenda. And I got so sickened from that that I just gave up, and I just started writing restaurant review articles, because obviously they want opinions. They don't want objective facts. They don't want pros and cons. No, they just want the cons when they want them. And they just want the pros when they want them. I just got so sickened by that. And I kind of got out of my phase where I thought I could be a journalist. And then this GamerGate came along. And I've been playing video games since the Nintendo 64. I know that's not a long time. I've been alive for under 30 years, so I really don't have any experience with the Super Nintendo system or the original Famicom or Nintendo system or the Atari or the Jaguar. I don't have any experience with those game systems, but I do remember the Nintendo 64. I do remember the Sega Dreamcast. I love the Dreamcast, and I love the Phantasy Star Online. God, I miss that. Just killing monsters endlessly, just grinding up to get one level. I remember the GameCube. I remember so many systems, so many. And I played video games for my entire, from pretty much my whole school career. I started going to school when I was 6, and then when I was 8, I believe I got my first game system, the Nintendo 64, and I started playing Super Mario 64, and it just opened a world up for me, and it was really accessible for my parents, and they loved that game. And I remember the GoldenEye 007 matches that I would have with my dad, and he would claim that I was cheating when I went into those little cubby holes or those alcoves where they're disguised like part of the wall, but you can go into them, and then I would just shoot the heck out of them, ambush him, and he would say, "Oh, you're cheating." Sorry, but I love video games, and I haven't played video games as much as I have in the past because, well, mostly because my time has been consumed with trying to become a teacher and other responsibilities, but I still try to play video games as much as I can, whenever I can. And, well, the GamerGate scandal is not just, it's not an issue of gender. It is not an issue of sexuality. It's not an issue of misogyny. It's not. Okay? It's not. It's an issue of people defending their hobby from those who want to usurp it. Those people who don't really care about video games, they care about pushing an agenda. Does this sound familiar, kids, boys and girls? Huh? Does it? They want to push an agenda, and they want to push their products as being good, and they want to cultivate relationships with the right people. And that's what pisses me off about this so much. And I'm involved in this now. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm writing into the advertisers of these gaming sites, Kotaku, Rock Paper Shotgun, Polygon, and I'm writing into these advertisers and I'm telling them that I'm not going to buy their product. I'm telling them in very polite, firm terms why I'm not going to. It's because of the current scandal surrounding the writers and the editors and what have you of these gaming sites, and I just don't feel comfortable with buying their products. And this is going to continue, and I've been reading posts from other people saying that you're doing the right thing. I work in gaming journalism, and they're running scared. My intention is not to frighten or harass anybody. Well, maybe it is to frighten. I want to frighten people into doing their jobs. I want to frighten people into caring about games and about gaming journalism. I want them to genuinely care about games, not to use them as a soapbox for your political views, not to use them as a soapbox for your own career advancement so you can get more money off of Patreon. I don't care about your personal life. I do care about how you conduct yourself in regard to the gaming industry. And because it's an industry that I'm involved in, I'm a consumer. I deserve not to be lied to. I deserve not to be told to be shut up. I deserve not to be called an internalized misogynist because I care about ethics and integrity in gaming. I never considered myself much of a feminist. This has pretty much bolstered me into feminism. I wouldn't say that I'm very much of a social justice warrior, but I'm getting involved in this debate, and I see self-professed social justice warriors claiming that I'm an internalized misogynist, and self-professed feminists saying that I shouldn't talk about Zoe Quinn because it's none of my business. Well, her professional life is my business because I'm a consumer and she is a developer. It is my business because there have been suggestions, more than suggestions, there's been links. She's a chain, and a very great link of chains. And all of these chains have weaknesses. Zoe Quinn has several weaknesses, such as her personal game jam, Rebel Jam actually is what it's called. And there's an interesting link for the donations to Rebel Jam. Guess where those donations go directly to? Her personal PayPal account. And I'm wondering how she's discerning which payments are to her or which payments are to the Rebel Jam and how she discerns between those payments. And I'm wondering if her attempt to sabotage the Fine Young Capitalists game jam and perhaps, this isn't confirmed yet, but Nathan Grayson and Robin Arnott basically trashed Maddie Lesham's, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name right, Maddie Lesham's game jam that was being sponsored by, was it Mountain Dew? Mountain Dew, Pepsi, I think, Pepsi. That was being funded by Pepsi, and they trashed it based on Zoe's word that he was making very misogynistic comments. And on the day that that article by Nathan Grayson was released, and I think the same day that Robin Arnott's article was released, on that same day, March 31st, Zoe opened up her own personal game jam for profit called Rebel Jam. And then later on came the Fine Young Capitalists with their game jam for charity and with the intent of introducing more women into games and the gaming scene. And then she called on her Twitter army, and I will provide a link to that photo, that screenshot that proves that she didn't make just 4 tweets about it, expressing her concerns. No. She was trashing them. She was calling her followers out on them. It was despicable. But I'm wondering if this is not all connected. And there have just been connections being made between journalists and people like Anita Sarkeesian, and that's why I'm speaking out on this, because we need more transparency. That sounds like a very political term, because politicians have used it. I will run a transparent administration. You'll be able to know exactly what we're doing when we're doing blah, blah, blah. But I'd like more transparency. I'd like less censorship. I'd like less false claims of copyright infringement from Zoe Quinn, particularly on Mundane Matt's video. She actually filed a claim of copyright infringement on Mundane Matt's video that had no copyright infringement whatsoever in it. And she made this false claim. Why? To cover it up. And I find it vulgar. I find it disgusting that gaming sites are participating in this, but I don't think I find it surprising, because people have known for a while that they've been taking money from advertisers, and certain advertisers are telling them, well, you know what, why don't you give this a better score? Why don't you give this a 10 or a 9 or an 8 or what have you? And people are not shocked so much about there being corruption. It's just the level of corruption that this is escalating to. And calling people who are calling this out tools, or calling them misogynists or internalized misogynists, is just making your argument weaker, Zoe Quinn defenders. You're just showing everyone what you are. And I'm sorry this has been a huge rant. My God, 16 minutes and 22 seconds. I've got to speed this up a bit. But I'm just recording this from my webcam. I'm sorry I didn't dress up. I'm sorry I look like I just rolled out of a sweat house or a sauna. I'm just sweating like a son of a gun. And I just wanted to talk about this with you guys. I just wanted to say that you do have female support. Don't let them complicate or confuse the issue. Don't let them obfuscate. I'm trying to say the word, but I can't pronounce it. I just know what it looks like on paper. But anyway, don't let them confuse the issue on purpose. Don't let them misdirect you. Don't let them get you off track. Be polite. I like to employ sarcasm when I'm talking to people as naive or misguided or in on it as these people are, but try to be polite. Just don't let them get off track on purpose, willfully, however. Don't let them get off track. Contact the advertisers of Kotaku, Rock, Paper, Shotgun, and Polygon. Just first part is spreading awareness, of course, and then the second part is to cut them off at the wallet. Snatch their money from them. Make them listen. Because they're not just listening, they're plugging their ears in and saying, I don't have to listen to you, I don't have to listen to you. Well, you do when you take their wallets. So they do have to listen. We do have to reform this corrupt, disgusting, bloated entity that we call gaming press. And I'm not saying that all gaming journalists are cut from the same cloth. I'm not saying that all gaming reviewers are cut from the same cloth. There are a few good ones out there. You have to investigate for yourself. Just so you know, if you click on these articles from Kotaku, from Rock, Paper, Shotgun, Polygon, try to copy them down somewhere, such as Pastebin, so they don't get the clicks, because that's how they make their revenue. It's based on page views. Ad blocker doesn't even enter into it in some cases, because they still make money off of people viewing their pages, so regardless of whether or not they're viewing the ads. So be polite, be civil, but be firm. Because what we're doing is not inherently evil. It's not evil at all, really. We're not doing anything wrong by addressing the issue and saying this issue needs to be looked into. You need to clean house. Kotaku, Rock, Paper, Shotgun, Polygon. You need to clean house, and you need to make sure that your standard of ethics is up to snuff. Because if it's not, then there's a problem here, and people are not going to trust you, and they're not going to pay you. Advertisers aren't going to flock to you anymore. So that's the point. I support GamerGate. I'm a girl. This is not about misogyny. This is not about feminism. This is not about sexuality. This is completely about truth. This is about honesty, transparency, and integrity. I hope I wasn't too rambling or incoherent through this, and I didn't edit this at all. I probably should have, but I just uploaded it onto YouTube, owned by Google, and I'm just recording this as one of their options. I'll see you on Twitter. I'll see you on Facebook. You won't know me because I'm not going by my real name on Twitter. I'm not going by my real name on Facebook. What I'm doing is not allowing them an opportunity or an avenue to try and attack me. Zoe Quinn supporters who are going to inevitably give me death threats, who are inevitably going to try and shut me up, I have this to say to you. I don't have any real social media accounts. I doubt very much that you can gather my name or any of my information from this video. I don't have any of my photos floating out there on the internet. I double dog dare you to try and find me. And this may sound completely stupid, but if you try to find me, if you try to dox me, I will call you out on it. And guess what? I will take actions. I don't know what actions I may take, if it's just simply exposing you or possibly reporting you to whatever authorities. If I don't feel safe, I'm going to act out on it. So that sounds like an empty threat. Well, yeah.